there's voices for both. There's probably a few more for A than there was for B. As administrators, I think we like A better, but we certainly have survived with B, and we'll be fine if that's what the board would like us to do. But the one main issue with A is, of course, that parents have to find something to do with their kids at 1:30. We had previously talked about having a late start, but we felt that is more intrusive on families to find something to do with them, especially the little kids, between 8 to 10 in the morning than it is in the afternoon. We would still have practices in the afternoon, so we'd have, our high school kids would still come back at 4 for practice. So there is a lag time of what they would do, but I guess we feel like if it's on the calendar ahead of time and people have planning, they can figure out what to do 4 times a year. It's no different than we have a snow day. We call it quickly, and they don't have much time to plan, and they make it work. So, but again, I guess we see it as a good professional development activity. We really want our staff to get better. Then it's a whole lot better for us to meet with them every month than it is for us to meet with them, twice a year. Mr. Rogge, Mr. Klein, anything to add to that?
Might be better if you have specific questions.
So this is like when each school gets their own staff together, or do you do it as a whole, or what do you do?
Well, it could be either one of those, Jim, Sherry. Our intent would be for it to be professional development on a district-wide scale, so not necessarily so it's just one building doing this and one building doing that. It would be, there are those efforts that are done at the district-wide level. Most in the long term, it would be used to support school improvement. For example, we would spend our time. If, for example, we were working on reading comprehension, if that was the goal that we were working towards as far as school improvement, that's going to require a number of things in order to be successful. The professional development piece, where you're helping your staff acquire new or improved skills, is going to be a piece of that. And we feel that you could do it a bunch of different ways, and we feel that this is the manner in which we're able to meet with staff, provide the training, provide the feedback, provide the opportunity for us to work with our professionals over a period of time. But largely it would be professional development facilitated by either a member of the administrative team, or we have a few professionals that we're pretty close with from the service unit that have helped us with some professional development efforts as well. And so we would do quite a bit of that ourselves, or we would bring in a facilitator to help do that.
So under Plan B, which is what exists right now, I mean, that's what you've been operating on. You do that twice a year?
Well, we, over the past couple of years, Sherry, it's been a little bit different because we've, over the past couple of years, one year we did a district-wide training that was called APL, and that was some instructional professional development, and they're very tough to schedule, and so 2-3 years out, we had to get the days that they were available and put those days in the calendar. The technology training that we spent about a year or a year and a half doing was also something that we spent a lot of time on, and it was very much in this format where we had that one day, the quarter, or those 2 days, and we tried to deliver as best we could in those formats. The thing that we were running into in terms of where that isn't maybe as effective as it could be is that there was little opportunity for follow-up. The technology training really comes to mind in terms of we would spend 2 or 3 really good days working with our people, but there was very limited opportunity for follow-up, you know, for people who really had questions or needed more assistance or needed more training, or for people to come back and begin to help their colleagues. It was like once, because there was only limited exposure, we just had to kind of feed everybody as much as we could in those limited times, and we were really kind of stuck in a situation where there wasn't an ongoing you know, type of training. So we have done it that way the past couple of years. We've worked hard to make it work, you know, but we've been frustrated at times where we felt like, boy, it'd be nice if we could, you know, have more opportunities to revisit these things we're trying to work on.
Okay. I'm just trying to assess what the difference is and why you're going there. I understood that there were about an equal amount for and an equal amount against. I've heard why you guys would really like it. What are the objections to it?
Well, are you talking about this, when Mr. Norvell talked about the steering committee?
Mhm.
Actually, it was about 2 to 1 in favor of the,
Plan A,
I'm not sure, is that the one with the early?
the new one.
Yeah. It was about 2 to 1. Actually, it was 5 to 3 in terms of the people that had an opinion one way or the other. There were some people that were just, whichever way is fine. If there was an opinion where it maybe wasn't their choice, I think it had to do with, one, what are the older kids going to do for a couple hours in between school and practices? I also think that, you know, some of the staff feel that it maybe impacts, you know, if they have an activity or if they have something going on after school, that can have a negative impact. And my perception was that was largely the reason for not.
So you would say that the majority would favor A, the new proposal?
Well, that's the sense that I get, yeah. John?
I'd say my favorite question from staff, this is mandatory then, no exceptions, no excuses?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, all of our staff would participate.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
You're gonna be there.
no, no stepping out. All of our staff, all of our coaches, and all of them.
And
Well, that now, so we get one more student day.
That is a plus.
You're giving them 1 day off, but giving them 2 hours off each day.
I think the parents
total
are
hours.
kids get back to school, or get back a day earlier after Christmas break, that's.
Well, it's on discussion this month because we'll be asking the board to vote next month, so
She's folks.
we might look that over again. I will live with it either way. We'll live with it either way. I think we prefer A because we feel like what it'll do for our staff down the road, but if they survive with B, we can survive again.
Thank you, sir. Next one is the Naval NESDA Scholarship. NESDA, I'm sorry, I apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, the 2011-12 staff planning and the calendar, yes. They're the
Yeah.
same.
I think, well,
That's
that's
same
for
thing.
staff planning, no,
I'm sorry.
that's all right, my fault, I should have caught it too. Again, I guess our priority has always been to add a .5 social studies, but at this point in time, we don't know what's gonna go on legislative-wise next year, so I don't think it's something we ought to consider doing at this point in time. I think it's something we'd like to do, but we're not done with LBs, and most school districts are either keeping staff as is or cutting staff, so I don't think it'd be the time for us to be adding at this point in time, but it was something that we would like to do.
Does that put our salaries on this, just the staff?
We don't know yet. They're gonna, it's hard to explain, Dennis, because the bill's not done yet, but, you know, we're not a state aid school anymore. Yeah, we get a little bit, but we're considered to be non-equalized, and there's about 40 districts in the state that are non-equalized, which basically means you have enough valuation per student that you don't need a state assistance. So, like a normal year when I do budget, you know, we look at our budget, we raise it, we have we have built up $3.5 million of unused budget authority, so I can pretty much set our budget as big as I want to, but you gotta have the revenue to fill it. So, but what the governor wants to do, and Senator Adams introduced it, is he's trying to control how much state aid they have to spend every year to put out. So he wants to control everybody's expenditures next year, even the non-state aid schools. He's gonna cap how big we can raise our budget too. And I asked him, I said, you know, I have $3.5 million of unused budget authority. Well, we're not gonna let you use it for a couple of years. So we don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen. There's gonna be some growth because we can take our sped off the top and whatever. There's gonna be some growth, but I don't really know what it's gonna be until they get done. They're gonna merge, it looks like it'll be 235 and 236 together, some kind of a companion bill. So we're not gonna know what we're gonna have for growth. But there'll be money that we can still have, some moderate salary increases, but I wouldn't go as far as add a position right now, Dennis, just because of the unknown, you know. That would take a big chunk of money, so.
When I first looked at it, I thought maybe we would have to send money, our money to the state
I-
for another school.
They haven't asked for that yet, so let's cross our fingers if that won't
I was
happen.
gonna say, I've been, like Mark, I've been following 235 and 236 just to watch, see what they're up to with it, because what it does is for us as a board, says you don't have control. You know, we've talked about that before, so.
So, I don't know, we have a legislative session next week, Nurse, and I'll be at that, and that's preliminary. I mean, we'll get to voice our thoughts, and I feel bad because I think we've been very fiscally conservative and done things the right way and build up our cash and build up our cash reserve. You know, Centennial, they have 60,000 in cash reserve, or in unused budget authority, excuse me, which means that every year they spend their budget. Well, we got $3.5 million because we don't spend our budget, and yet they're gonna lump us in the same category. We might as well, you know, have spent it all, but that's the part that kind of bothers me a little bit. But I think we're still gonna be okay. We're still gonna be better off than a lot of places. You know, the schools that have been getting $1.5 million and $2 million in state aid, they're gonna get a lot less, and they don't have the tax base to create it. You know, so we're fortunate that we do. So, but it's just hard to say until we know. That's why I just, you know, with the administrator raises that we put off, I think we need to put that off. I think adding a half-time social studies we need to put off because we just don't know. And whatever they do, it looks like it's gonna be for 2 years. It's not gonna just be for 1 year, so it's a 2-year budget they're working on. So I think it's best if we just hold off until we get more information. I don't wanna try to outthink them, outguess them. So, sorry, I skipped over that, Sean. I should have cut that.
Okay, any other questions on staff planning? Okay, next up is C, the Mabel Matthews NEDSA scholarship. Matthews?
Matthews.
Oh.
Anyway,
That'd be from his pronouncement, Sean, I can't say it.
Mabel passed away in May of 2009, and she had left this money that we've deposited in a CD, and we cannot invade the corpus of that fund, but we can use the interest for a scholarship. We should be able to award a scholarship this year. We're going to pay it in September. That way it allows us to grow a little bit. But I thought this is what I've made so far, and the board can help me from here on. And I made a little description of Mabel that we would present to everybody that applies, and then just a quick application. What Mabel said in her will was that she wanted it based upon financial need and academic ability. So basically, the blanks are just based upon that. I didn't ask a whole lot. You know, these kids get thousands of scholarship things to fill out, and I thought if I just made it pretty simple. And but then, you know, once they apply, we need to set up, number one, is this enough? And then once they apply, how do you want to handle it? Do you like it to be a board committee? You want it to be the full board? Do you want it to be Well, it does need to be the board because that was her desire, so I don't think that we should delegate it to anybody on staff. I think it needs to be the board or a committee of the board because